Campaign 2022 election results are in the race for aldermanic president in St. Louis City, but both candidates will move forward to a rematch in November. Alderwoman Megan Green won 54% of the votes, Alderman Jack Coatar taking 46%. But the real test here was the new voter ID law in Missouri. News 4's Alexis Sotos breaking down the new regulations in place that are going to greet you in the November election. Alexis.
Well, turnout was incredibly low today, which was expected. It was about 6% of city voters that cast ballots in today's election. Now, election officials say those who came out to vote were very motivated voters, and most were familiar with the new voter ID law, but that'll be a totally different story in November.
I try to vote in every election.
Even if that vote doesn't impact much. Because of the new approval voting in St. Louis City, the top two candidates move forward in the primary onto the general. There are only two candidates, Alderman Jack Coatar and Alderwoman Megan Green, so both will face off for the position of Board of Alderman president in November. Why did you come out to vote today?
Because it's my civic duty. I feel like no matter where I live, I need to vote.
The Hinmans just moved to St. Louis.
Responsibility. We've only lived here for 6 weeks, but we want to start being St. Louisans, Missourians.
But they were aware of the new Missouri law, which requires a government-issued photo ID to vote.
Carrying the ID was not a problem for me.
The St. Louis City primary election was the first under the new law. The Board of Elections says there weren't any major issues with such a small turnout. But all election officials are looking ahead to November, where turnout will be much higher.
I work with individuals at a nonprofit who have real challenges accessing IDs, and so I know the hurdles that they have to go through.
St. Charles County tells me they are working on their strategy to make sure voters know the new rules. Organizations are working to ensure anyone who needs an ID has one. The ID law is being challenged in court. In the meantime, if you don't have an ID but are registered, you can still cast a provisional ballot.
Putting any barriers between individual citizens who have a right to vote and their ability to actually exercise that vote, I think is completely wrong.
So why was there an election today? Well, it is part of the law to have that election. Even though there were only two candidates, it cost $160,000 to hold this special election. That comes out to about $13 per voter in the city today. Reporting in the studio, Alexis Sotos, News 4.
All right, Alexis, thank you. New tonight.